Welcome to number 6. Oh my goodness, isn't it going great? Our agent webinar series. Today's subject is pricing it right.
The price is right.
Oh,
No.
Wait, that's dyslexic.
Do you remember Bambi
Of course I do.
and Thumper?
Yes, even
Yeah.
children today know who that is.
And Thumper used to say, if you can't say anything nice,
Don't say anything at all.
Well, there's something Floyd said in the same tone of voice. Worse than no listing at all
Is a listing that doesn't sell.
And there's nothing wrong with any listing
That the right price
won't cure.
and terms won't cure.
Yeah, that's why our message today is called Pricing It Right. Because worse than no listing at all is one that doesn't sell. And it's usually because of price.
Yep. Oh, wait, it's the condition. Well, no, if it was priced lower in that condition, it would have sold. Wait, it's the location.
Oh, I got a solution for that. Move the house.
Well, I can't do that. Then it would be the price, wouldn't it? What else would be a reason that something doesn't sell? Can't think of anything. Oh, maybe it was, I don't know, the agent didn't do anything, but at the right price, the market is bad. Well, then you just wait a little longer. It takes longer, but properties sell based on one thing, and that is the price. So our job is to help our people price it right, to help you price it right.
If you've ever heard Floyd do a special event, he'll start off by saying, there are some markets that us old timers call automatic, where you just trip into office and you screw up enough and you still make some money. But we're not there anymore.
Yeah, we used to be, and we were there a long time. So you were probably surrounded by a whole crop, a whole generation of real estate agents that are worried about this marketplace. But you don't have to worry because you got those Floyd Wickman genes inside of you, and we are masters of difficult markets. So you learned pricing if you took a Floyd Wickman program, but today is not a review of those pricing strategies. That is not our objective here. It's about all the other things that go around that pricing conversation that you have with every seller.
Yeah. And I would like to remind you about the NAR Code of Ethics Standard of Practice 1-3, which is to not deliberately mislead. If you do what Floyd taught you to do, which is close for the listing subject to price, a number of times, hey, what if we could put our heads together and come up with a price we both can live with? Would there be anything preventing you from letting me handle this for you?
Then you go back to selling. You go back to demonstrating your value, and then you close again. So if we did come to an agreement on price, do you feel like you'd be getting, do you feel like I can sell your house, first of all?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. I feel like I can too. And it seems like we've got a pretty good relationship here, don't you think? Do you feel like I would do a good job for you? Okay, so if we can agree then on a price tonight, would you be ready to get the ball rolling? They say yes, and you go into your pricing presentation, right?
And them saying yes creates an ethical issue. Pricing becomes a moral issue then, because if you just tell them what they want to hear, that's how you get the listing, but that's how it doesn't sell. So you got to get them to tell you that they want you to tell them the truth, base their price on facts. Because coming out of this market that we've been in for years, where Floyd says the seeds of failure are sown during the good times, during the automatic times, we didn't need pricing presentation as much as we do now.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk first of all about the phrase, let me show you what your house is worth, what your home is worth. Now, I have a disagreement with that because I don't think that's our job. When I had my 2 boys and they were little tykes, we had a loft above the kitchen. And that's where I sat with them at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning to give them their bottles. And no one could tell me what those memories are worth from that time.
They're invaluable.
Yeah.
There is no dollar amount.
Telling someone what you think their house is worth, well, it's multi-millions to them. It's their castle. It's their home. It's where their whole life memories are wrapped up in. Our job really is to tell them what we think it will sell for and how long it will probably take.
You are kind of a word master.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and you're right. Most people have an inflated value of their home. And I think that's why it's so critical that we choose the right time to tell them that truth. You know, I know you're going to just, when I say this, say, no, like you can't believe it. I have heard real estate agents, licensed, trained agents, tell people a price over the phone.
No.
Yeah, you were supposed to talk too. Come on, where is it? No, I can't believe it. I can't imagine anyone doing that. Uh-huh. And it happens more often than you think. You're just not standing in the bullpen enough or something. Because people will say, well, what style home do you have? Oh, yeah, it's over at Happy Hollow. Oh, yeah, there's how many bedrooms? Yep, yeah, well, it's probably somewhere in the range between this and that. Oh, no. The telephone is an appointment scheduling tool. Didn't think we covered that at some point along the way. So you schedule the appointment, you do the price live. Then I used to train new people, and I actually walked into houses with people, new agents. And while we're walking into the house, I've had sellers say, so what do you think it looks like so far? So did you come up with a price for me? I'd love to know. And I have heard new agents that say a price out loud, say no, like you can't believe it. Come on. Audience.
No.
Thank you. So what's my message to you? There's a time to bring up price, and the only time to bring up price is when they hold you in high regard. Mm-hmm. If they do not hold you in high regard, then you either got to get them to hold you in high regard, or you got to go home, because there's no point in arguing. You know, have you ever worked a for sale by owner and no, they're just tell me the price. You know, well, there's no point, because they're not going to believe you anyway. So if they're not listening, and if you haven't been able to present what you need to present to show your value, it's the wrong time. Get out of there. Because then at least you got a chance of coming back. See, if you tell them a number and leave without the listing, guess what? Why would they ever have you back? They've already heard what they needed to know. They might as well get a second opinion or a 10th opinion, right? But it ain't going to be yours. They already know what you think. So that's what you got to hold back until they're sold on you and your company. That's why that presentation always comes before the pricing step. Now, if the presentation happens to be given to somebody in your family, somebody that is your best friend, and said, oh, we're going to list with you, you know, your tendency is to go, wow, we don't need a presentation. And that's how you get in trouble, because you're not setting their expectations up correctly for your value as the realtor when they see the net sheet, for your value as the company when you're going to implement all these marketing tools that you want them to go along with and see the value of. So this is why everything is psychologically sound in each step of the process. When do we talk price? When they're sold on you and your company.
When.
Excuse me.
There's another when too.
Oh, good.
Yeah. It's when you know they're going to sell. Sometimes, well, we're not going to sell till next year. Well, okay, I'll come back next year, because the comps I have now won't apply next year.
Oh, yeah, I got that.
Yeah.
I got that guy. I got a guy that's going to build a cabin, and and the building keeps coming in more expensive. And anyway, that's been going on for 2 years. Yeah. I have never once told him a price. Why? Because as soon as I tell him a price, I'm done, right? So I always say, well, it doesn't matter what it's worth now, because you're not on the market now. You're not even ready to be on the market now. I'll come over. I'll tell you what to do and what not to do. I'll stay in touch with you. I'll pop in and shake your hand and kiss your babies, but I'm not telling you a price.
So pricing it right begins with gettability, making sure that you're going on appointments where all the ingredients you need to be in place are in place. And once you sit down, that you set the table, that you get their agreement to follow a plan. Otherwise, the pricing gets out of order. And then you take the time to do your due diligence and really qualify them and listen and listen and listen and take notes and summarize with that client qualifier. And then you look at the house, because you can't ask the tough questions after you've looked at the house. And you know what the toughest one is?
What would it take for you to list with me tonight?
Yeah. How about this? What would it do to your plans if you couldn't sell? Yeah, you got to ask those questions, and you can't if you've already looked at the house. And then you look and you come back and you put on your marketing presentation. Because as Mary said, if they don't believe you can sell the house, what you think about price doesn't matter. So if we can agree on a price, and there's your trial close.
But I think a lot of people believe that a pricing presentation is getting out comps. So you are going to do the comparables to determine what you believe the price should be on this house. And maybe you do a range. I mean, there's all kinds of different ways to look at how those comparables, what those comparables say to you, which is not the objective here. You know how to do a CMA. I think what most agents, especially non-Wickman trained agents, do is they take out a pile of comparables and they start going through them with the uneducated eye of the consumer, who's going, well, wait a minute, what about the, we have a pool, but what is the HW, you know, are you with me? So showing the comps doesn't necessarily have to be what you do. You might show a summary, for example. You may be sending them comps and then never bring them up once you are there and just talk price. Yes.
On last week's call.
Yes.
On an R-squared coaching call. And I'm not making this up.
All right.
One person asked, I want to get a professional binder for my CMAs.
Oh.
So it has like the leather-bound look of a first edition or something.
Okay.
Then the next person said, I don't ever show them comps. Right? Why not? Well, it just confuses them.
They're there with you if you need them.
Yeah.
You know, Floyd taught us that. I do think, though, that our pricing presentation needs to include a few ingredients, right? You know, like the market in most areas, you know, we don't coach people in every single city across North America, right? There's some cities that we're missing. So I can't say every city across North America is like this, but many, many, many cities right now, probably always, are pockety.
Yeah.
I've been using that line, pockety, that word. You know, there are pockets that are cold and there are pockets that are warmer. And maybe in your market, there are even pockets where things are pretty hot, where there's nothing for sale. Lakefront, for example, waterfront, seafront, whatever it is in your area. There's either a lot of those on the market and they're tough to sell and they're slow to sell, or the water's way down, or there's been some contamination somewhere and it's in, or there's none. And so it can be kind of pockety, whether that's hot or cold. Same with different price points. You know, sometimes luxury is selling quickly. And then on the other side, I've got a student right now that's got two completely different market areas at her disposal. And one market area is slow. Average market time is like 88 days. The other market area is a lower priced area, but things are actually selling. People come into open houses. So she's shifting a little bit to move toward that. So be aware and be able to explain what kind of pocket this listing happens to be in. Is it a pocket that the seller needs to anticipate the DOM will be a little bit longer? And you've got access to all that data in your MLS. So make sure you're searching locally.
Pockety.
Pockety.
I love that word.
Hippity
Pockety.
pockety. No, it's probably not a good thing.
Yeah.
All right.
So we have always used the phrase, it's impossible to underprice a listing.
Yeah.
It's very possible to overprice a
Right.
listing, especially with days on market increasing in some pockets.
So say that again. It's impossible to underprice a listing. Well, the only way that you're at risk when you underprice a listing
Is
if the seller feels compelled to take the first offer.
Yeah, if they jump at something.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now, 2 years ago in Pontiac, Michigan, there was a distressed property that the listing agent had a brainstorm idea on. I got an idea. I'm going to list this for $1.
And you got the seller to go along. So that's pretty cool.
A $1 list price.
Can you underprice the house?
Yeah.
No, on $1, Now, if you saw the pictures of the house, there was, the
it was
copper had
distressed.
all been stored,
Yep.
stolen, and there were no appliances. And yeah, it was in pretty tough shape.
And they got 140 plus offers, and it sold for $52,000.
Now, would you have been better off putting it on for $55,000 and using a series of price reductions? Would you have been better off listing it at 50 and tried to create some bidding? But that drama pricing got everybody's attention in the country. In fact, we did a little research.
Last week, NAR said there are 518 $1 listings now in different MLSs around the country. 518.
Isn't that cool?
Somebody else liked this idea.
It's a marketing idea,
Oh, yeah.
right? Create interest, generate bidding wars so that you get maximum value. So that is a strategy.
Marketing.
So listen, what if you never did that? But what if explaining that became part of your lexicon? You have it as a tool in your tool belt for explaining how we go about determining price and how we might choose, what some of our choices are in pricing your home, Mr. or Mrs. Seller.
And we know our marketing works.
Oh, I've heard you say that 100 times.
What we're testing is the price.
Well, we know our marketing works.
Pricing it right is not a science, it's an art.
Yeah.
It isn't cut and dried. Sometimes it's intuition or it's hunches. Sometimes it's insider information. 2 homes, everything being equal. Let's say one has a warranty and one doesn't. Which one's going to sell quicker or for a better price?
Oh, we know statistically the home that's warranted will sell faster and at a higher price. I mean,
Or one's in better
been determined.
condition or it's been upgraded,
Right.
So
or there's emotional. I can remember a 2-story once. All the 2 stories were going for X, right? And so we walked into this 2-story. We did a tour, and it was shortly after we came, out of caves. So it was a while back. But anyway, we walked into this standard 2-story, but there was white carpet, white walls, white trim, white woodwork before there was such a thing as white woodwork. And there were Asian screens, mother of pearl, black lacquer furniture throughout. And guess what? They got a chunk. It doesn't matter. It was X. It was worth X. They sold it for Y. And I've always wondered what the people thought the day they moved in, because there's no furniture here now. So yeah, we know our marketing works. The only thing that we haven't determined is the price. So if we're not getting offers, that is a message, right, from the consumers out there that's saying we're too high.
when do most listings expire? When they're priced wrong, the moment of listing.
Yeah, we covered that because it's not location, not condition, but it's good to echo that because that's the truth, huh?
I wanted to report something I heard you say just last week.
Okay.
Yeah. You listed it at $4.99.
Oh,
what is this? An MLS book where you do it because it's one page quicker, sooner than the others? No.
See, that used to be an advantage.
Right.
This is kind of fun because I've been here longer than you have. And I was here when there were paper books that used to be delivered to the office every single week, right? And so if you started as a buyer, You said, I want to live in my neighborhood. It was district, 722. I almost forgot. So you go to the district 722 pages and you start at the cheapest house. Well, I'm not gonna buy the cheapest one. I'm not gonna buy that one. Oh, this one's little. Oh, this one doesn't even have a garage. Oh, and I work my way up. Well, at some point you stop turning the page, right? So the trick in pricing with a book, not that you ever are going to need this information, but it was the sooner that you are in the book, the better off you are. But that's not how computers work. Computers work in ranges, right? So how much is the buyer going to spend? What's the range? It's a $25,000 spread. It's a $50,000 spread. It might be a $100,000 spread. If they're shopping 4 million, it could be 500 on either side of 4 million that they would go, right? So if let's say that they're willing to spend 4 million, and so you're looking for 3,500,000 up to 4 million, right? Yeah, but could they go 4.1? They probably would. Maybe they'd even get a deal. Could they go 4.2? So what's the point of pricing it at 3.999? Do you see how that makes absolutely no sense? Because some people will stop their bracket. Some people are shopping 3.5 to 4. They're not looking over 4. Wait, other people are shopping at 4.2 and they're going to miss yours at 3.999, right? I mean, do you get the message here? You want to be searchable. That's the word. I don't think we even said that word, did we? Did I
search
just
friendly
interrupt you?
Yeah.
Yes, we want a search friendly price. So $9.99, that's like archaic. It's not how computers work. So think in terms of ranges. Okay.
Now, when it comes to your pricing presentation, obviously you
Wait, are we off that topic? Because I just thought of something else.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, I got to throw this in. What if you're in the middle of nowhere? Like, let's say you decided you're going to list it at 380. I didn't mean physically right now.
Okay.
I saw that. All right. So you're going to list this at $380,000. That's the list price that you feel this property will sell for. Okay. Because we always list it for the price we feel it's going to sell for, right? You know that lesson, that Wickman lesson, right? We don't list it high. Maybe we'll get offers and we'll have room to negotiate. Well, what would you take? Well, I'd rather, do you know that dialogue?
Of course they do.
Can I review it? Don't lose my train of thought for me, would
Okay.
you? Okay.
I think that train left us.
They say, okay, well, can't we try higher because no one will come in? Maybe we should try 392 instead of 380 so we have room to
In
negotiate.
case we get an offer.
Right.
Yeah.
So your answer is always, I'd rather have you get 4 offers at 380,000 than get none at 392. If you'll take 380, then I think we should take it. I think that's the price. And I'll tell you what.
I'd rather see you stand firm
hold
on your
firm.
price.
That's
and
right.
turn down
There's the
offers
next line.
than never
That's
get
right.
anyone to even look at it.
That's right. All right. So where was I going? Did you hold that spot for me? Because I was going to. So let's say you're in the middle of nowhere. All right. So we're going to price it at 380. Okay. Okay. Now is when we can do some funky stuff. Because 380 is kind of in the middle of nowhere. 375 to 400 is a range. 350 to 375 is a range. Right? But 380, what is that? Yet you think they can get 380. So what if you priced it at, I don't know, 380, 388, 888, 382, 222, 381, 3. Now you can get kind of funky. And that unusual price that Floyd suggested to us way back when, years and years ago, before all the computerized searchability things, that can be very useful in the middle of no man's land because it makes you look different. 55555, whatever. Just make it look different. Hey, how many kids do you have? How old are they? Oh, what if we priced it at 268? Okay, so we're going to price it at 380, 268. I've heard buyers bring in full price offers saying, we wondered why they priced it that way. We thought we better come in right on the money. Well, we priced it that way so you noticed it. So this is a marketing tool that costs you absolutely nothing. But it's only applicable because searchability wasn't a factor. So more important is searchability. Okay, now I'm ready to move on. Thank you for letting me do that.
So you know the 3-part pricing presentation.
Yeah.
When your price and their price disagree. Now, obviously, in order to know that, you have to ask them up front on the phone or during your qualifying interview, you know, how did you come up with your price? How familiar are you with prices in the area?
And we're not here to teach that 3-part pricing presentation, because there's plenty of other places that you can learn that. We have the digital Floyd Wickman
use the
program. We've
dialogue,
got your notebooks from a class you went to.
And the wholesale retail pyramid, which always equates to time.
That's what you want to look for.
It's not how much they want, it's how long they want it to take to get their money so they can move.
Right?
That's really the deciding factor.
And you know that concept, right? That price and time are in direct relationship to one another, that we can sell any house tomorrow in any condition, in any location, if we have it at the right.
Yeah.
Right.
There's another tool that you want to break out of the mothballs right now, and it's called the trends analysis.
Yeah, for sure.
Because trends are accumulating rapidly. It's not 6 months and a year. Now it's sometimes 30 days.
Right.
These markets are changing at an accelerated pace.
And we have the technology now to pull those trends up. We can spot those trends. If you've got info sparks, for example, in your MLS, if you've got showing time, there's property reports within showing time that are absolutely incredible and show you a line going way, way back. But you can also analyze the line in recent history. So there are so much data that's right at our fingertips. And another thing we can do, spotting trends, is we can separate areas. So maybe the entire market, here's the trend, but at your price point, the trend is completely different than the entire market. In your pockety little spot, the trend is completely it's completely different. So you can explain to a seller how, you know, a lot of people think this, but here's what's really happening and how it's going to affect your price.
Yeah, you'll look at things like list to sale price ratio.
Darn right.
You'll look at things like how many showings result in an offer on
Darn
average,
right.
and how many offers are received before one's accepted. And that can change literally overnight. And that data can help you. And when it comes to guessing the price, estimating the price, saying, you know, our marketing works, let's take an educated guess on what it's probably going to sell for and when.
But I don't need it. God bless the people that do.
That's the time to get pre-ordered price reductions, pre-scheduled price reductions. The hardest thing in the world to do is to call a seller after they've bought into and dug into a price and tell them you got to reduce it. Oh, and then you got to reduce it again. Oh, and then you got to reduce it. You know, how many agents are willing to make that call over?
Well, they don't, and that's why it expires, right?
Yeah.
So when you do your presentation of pricing and you tell them what you think it should be listed for, and they disagree, they want to start higher. We've already given you a couple of little dialogues for that. But sometimes you get to the end of your rope, the end of your appointment, and it's either I list it for more or I don't list it at all, right? So when do you make that? When you make that call, all right, I'm willing, listen, I'll still be selling real estate in 10 years. As long as you're willing to stick with me, I don't think it's going to take 10 years. But as long as you're willing to stick with me, I'm willing to try out your price. And by the way, if you get that, man, I'll take us all out to dinner at the fanciest restaurant we can find. I'd be thrilled to be wrong and have you walk away with more money. But if you don't get that,
Maybe
at some
go to
point,
Waffle House.
No, we ain't going anywhere, because at some point, at that point, we're going to have to lower the price. Would you agree?
Right.
And when would you be willing to do that? All right. And what price would we have to come down to then? And then what if because that's still more than what I was thinking. So what if we don't get that? How long would you be willing to wait before you came down to my number? And so that installs then our price adjustments. Well, let's go ahead and get all those signatures tonight so we don't even have to discuss this again. We've got a plan. We're aiming for price A. If we don't get it within 60 days, we go to price B. If we don't get it now some people will say, if we don't get it within 12 showings. And you can do that if you want. That's fine.
What does the data show? If you go to InfoSparks or RPR,
Well, it depends on the area.
When do the most showings occur? When do they drop off? What does that curve look like?
Well, usually the most showings are in the first 30 days.
Yeah, because you missed that first initial burst of excitement when it comes on the market. You missed that, and you're missing most of the market.
But you also have to work on seasonality. Thank you. Florida, for example, people show up in Florida starting in November, but the big crowd comes in mid-January and they go home in mid-March. So that's the market. So if you're listing in November, you got to be willing to do a little more waiting. It's a different type of prospect that's going to encounter this property in November. Not to say they should all wait till February. That's not what I'm saying. Minnesota, the Midwest, I think the whole upper Midwest, and maybe also the East, when it gets to be about third week in July, if you don't have that baby, July is the month that people say, you know what, summer's almost over. Oh my gosh, school's about to start. We got to go on vacation. And the market in July, I said that a little bit wrong. You got to get on the market by the third week in June. The market in July is quieter. Now, let's say you didn't. Let's say they had repairs, they had things they wanted to do. They didn't list until after the 4th of July. That's fine. But you as the agent then prepare them for that seasonality that we're probably not going to get a lot of people until August. But I think our time might be, we don't want to miss somebody that is shopping in July. There are people that shop every month of the year. If you start looking and analyzing the differences between the months, you'll find that most of them, they're almost the same. They're not exactly even, but they're almost the same. So you need to understand your market. Real estate is local. I love that phrase because it is so true.
It's like politics. It's all local.
So reductions after the fact, reductions at the fact, right at the listing appointment, or a sit down at least scheduled after the fact to discuss how things are going so far and what we should do about it.
And if you're getting showings and no offers or showings and low balls, consider asking your seller to make a reverse offer. That's a kind of price reduction. What is they'd be willing to take and make that reverse offer back to the buyer at that price? So pricing it right. Worse than no listing at all is
a listing that doesn't sell.
And price it right the first time so it does.
We want you guarded against that so you get paid. When you take a listing, that's where burnout comes from, right? I take these listings, the sellers beat me up and get mad at me the whole time because it's overpriced and they're unhappy because there's not enough traffic, right? And then it goes off the market and I put that money up front and didn't get paid. So what are your core values? Live up to your standards despite temptations to lower them.
One more thing. If they have no room left to lower the price, so they can't do a price reduction, I think the dialogue is, are you happy with the job I've done for you so far? Are you willing to be patient? And then make sure you give them a data dump on a weekly basis at least, so they at least see what other activity is going on in your market and they stick with you. Okay?
I'm going to throw one other thought in. And that is, you may consider putting your seller on an MLS search so that every new property that hits the market that they would be competing for a buyer with, they can see that property, look at the price of that property and the amenities, compare it to their own, and then watch when it goes sold as well. And sometimes providing more data along the journey will help them. We've got so many resources now we didn't have before. Let's be prepared for longer market times. Let's be preparing our sellers for how important the right price is. And let's make sure that we get paid